You have Tesla crashing, and then you have SMCI, which is very interesting with earnings on the day. And I actually think SMCI is in a position where things can get really interesting in a short amount of time, and we'll discuss exactly what needs to happen there. The first thing I want to talk about is Tesla down $22 on the day. Really no sign of buying anywhere here on the chart. You go to the daily chart here on Tesla, right? I mean, this thing's brutal. You get below that support of 350, 360, and you are dropping quick down towards 310. I mentioned literally, I think a day ago, we talked about what would happen, and I still believe where the big short opportunity is below 310, because then you're gonna drop very quickly down to 270, which is your 200 daily moving average down there. We kind of laughed at here. We were laughed at with the idea that Tesla could start ripping back down, but the thing to understand is when a stock goes straight up, it's very easy for that stock to go straight back down. Now, I'll add in that the news is definitely not benefiting Tesla for anything here, right? I mean, as a car company, you figured they're going to hurt with rising rates across the board. It's just not a good time to be buying a car. But again, it's important to understand if you're looking at Tesla from a viewer of an investor, that you're not really long-term on Tesla just for the car part of the business. You're there for the AI potential, what's happening there. Now, I will say, I don't know what people really thought Elon working with Trump in the White House would do for the company as far as in the short term. Probably one of the worst actual investments ever. I still think if you're a long-term player here on Tesla, the dip is a good opportunity for you. But I will say right now, I don't see this ending. I think you're going to be testing 310 very soon. And then if you break below 310, I'd be willing to slap the ask, dare I say, for downside, going down towards 280 to 270. One of the biggest plays out there right now. But where people are really interested right now is SMCI, right? SMCI, again, the idea was this could basically be NVIDIA 2.0 as far as earnings, growth, etc. Now, I have been a very big skeptic of what SMCI is doing. And I will remain a skeptic until they have a new internal audit. Until something comes in, an external company comes in, audits them, goes through everything, that's when I would really gain some confidence here in the long term. If that ever happens, I think SMCI becomes an instantaneous buy. But earnings on the day. So let's do a few things when we look at this. I kind of split it up into two different sections. So there's a few ways I think you should view this and what we kind of have to look at this for, okay? So number one, we're going to go over the earnings. We'll come back to what they're doing here as far as the notes that they're offering out there to raise some more capital. Now, it seems like SMCI is just trying to go business as usual. That's the sense that I'm getting when I'm reading this. Now, number one, you go look at their earnings. They weren't incredible. They weren't terrible. Okay. So giving you a quick zoom in here so you can see net sales are in the range of 5.6 billion to 5.7, 54% year over year growth. Now, the interesting thing here is going into the outlook, because again, I think the outlook is the most important. The company expects net sales in the range of 5 billion to 6 billion for the third quarter. And then you go down a little bit further and they say for the fiscal year of 2025, they expect from the range of 26 to 30 billion to the new range of 23.5 to 25. So they're guiding down. Now, again, you're in a sector that's very hot. That's the anticipation that you're going to keep with the growth. The growth is a big thing. But if they do pull those numbers out, that's still really good. The part here that is concerning, okay, they don't really go into detail with their 10K, at all. I'm trying to whatever, but corporate updates. SMCI continues to work diligently towards filing the annual report for the Form 10K, which ended in June 30th, 2024. This was due back in August. I'm just saying. Now, the part here is that they haven't been delisted. Now, they are on the hot seat for being delisted from the Nasdaq, okay? If they can fulfill this by the 25th of this month, February, right, they could stay on the Nasdaq. Now, if they don't get this done by the 25th of February, they will be delisted. And if that happens, it will drop. It will drop aggressively. Okay? Now, the other part of this, do I think that this little bump up that you're getting from earnings sustains? I don't think anything matters right now in SMCI until the 25th. If they file the 10K, it goes well. It becomes a buying opportunity. It becomes awesome. I honestly think there's a world in which you can look even at the option chain here for SMCI, and it's interesting. You go a month out to just March 21st, and I mean, there's a world in which you can kind of strangle this, and it becomes because in my opinion, if they missed on the 10K, I don't see how this doesn't go sub 30, and like almost instantaneously. I mean, you have to look at lows on the year so far on SMCI are sitting down there near, $17 in November 13th, conservatively back down to $26. So there's just no world in which I imagine, right, the SMCI, if they can't handle this and they don't get this done, that they don't drop at least back down to like $26. Now, if it goes well and it gets filed, it's on the Nasdaq, it's business as usual, I don't see how this doesn't run towards 50. So both of those things make a lot of sense right now. I wouldn't be, again, betting heavy in one specific direction until the 25th. That's all I can say there. Biggest things that I'll look at with SMCI. I don't think the earnings are that awesome, though. Like, the earnings are okay, cool. You guided down on growth, whatever. But, I mean, there's no external audit. There's no, like, I just feel like they could have done more. And if I was on the brink of going from being one of the best runs of, in the market last year, and then you're now on the verge of being delisted from the Nasdaq, and it just seems like they're nonchalant with where they're at. And this is not what you would want to see. You wouldn't see this from NVIDIA. You wouldn't see this from AMD or any other major semiconductor, AVGO, Broadcom. You wouldn't see this from those companies. Maybe from like a Chinese company like ARM, ARM, which is by SoftBank. But even then, I still don't think that they would do something like this. So it's weird to see. It's skeptical behavior, and it just has a lot of question marks and uncertainty surrounding it. So I would be careful. Okay, but the bulk of what I want to talk about right now is what's happening there. There's nothing big from earnings that have changed. If anyone tells you something changed from earnings, I think they're lying to you. My personal opinion. So again, what I would be looking for. And if you can somehow get above by the 20, there's a world in which this happens before, and I just missed the boat, right? But you start getting above $48, $46, pushing above the 200 SMA, it becomes a really interesting opportunity at that point. It just does. Especially when you look at the stock market right now, with semiconductors, SMH are heating back up. It's worth mentioning, like, you've had some good names like, Meta, Netflix, run to all-time highs, Amazon, Google. But the Nasdaq really hasn't done much, right? The Nasdaq has been pretty, it's just kind of consolidated for a while, right? As you can see, you're just consolidating here. Tick tock. Yeah, you're just kind of consolidating sideways. I think you look really good, though. But the big point here is that semiconductors are heating back up. And if semiconductors are breaking back up, again, I think it puts SMCI in a great position, even if it's just a hype play at that point. So again, very, very interesting. But going into closing, what I'd be concerned about, I think Tesla still has downside. I'd be looking towards 310, 315 for the downside here to soften up. You break below 309, 310, this will get shot down towards 275, 270. Just really, really, really bad. Congratulations though if you traded this whatsoever. Discord today, we did trade this. And what we were doing specifically, we traded ARM, we traded Apple, we traded, and I believe it's the other one that we traded. What else did I trade today? Can't even think. AMD to the downside, right? But again, we were trading Tesla here as well, all the way down. But what I will say is just be careful, especially trying to find a bottom. That's the big thing I can say. If you're trying to find a bottom, have time on contracts. Time will save you over and over and over and over. If you're trying to buy something that's just going down, SMCI, Tesla, whatever you want to buy, right? Have time on your contracts. If you go too short dated, you're going to get stopped out. You either lose a bunch of money, get stopped out. You're just going to create unnecessary stress that doesn't need to be there on your position. So again, what I'm looking at, how I'm looking at. If you have questions, comment down below. Follow on Twitter. All that is there as well. Have a good one, traders.